All right, let's talk about the token-based authentication using Express.js. Now, this particular lecture includes a lot of code, so I've already have all the code, and we're going to go over different steps and what each piece of the code actually does. But before we do that, we need to understand what exactly is token-based authentication. So let's say you are a user and you make a request to some website. All right. Now, how will that website know about you? Like, are you authenticated? Are you authenticated for a certain period of time? Or if you are requesting something, let's say you want to request a admin page, then are you an admin? Or can you even look at the member screen, a dashboard screen, all of those things. So what actually happens is that whenever you do that, website then issues a token to you. All right, and then that token goes to the client, and then you can save it in different ways. You can save it most like local storage, you can save it in a global variable, but then that token becomes part of your request. So whenever you send the request for the website, you also send that particular token, which is issued by that website, by the way, right? So the website looks at the token. So website looks at the token. If the token is valid, then okay, you're good. The token is valid, then you are good. You are authenticated. You are someone that we can trust. If, however, the token is invalid or the token has expired, then, well, you need to log in again or register or whatever you want to do to create that new token. So that is how the token-based authentication really works, like at a very higher level. So if you go into this new line, you can see different things about token advantages, how it actually works. And if you scroll down over here, this is basically one of the examples of the tokens that they have created. Now, in order to add a token-based authentication, you need to install a package, npm package, which is called JSON Web Token. So make sure that you do npm install JSON Web Token --save. Install Express, install body parser. You can connect to the database. I will not be using any database in this particular lecture. SQLize or anything you want to do. All right. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to add a configuration file. All right, that contains our secret key. And it's a good idea to not commit this particular file to the source control. So if we look over here, I already have a config file, and this is some sort of a password that I'm using. It's called config.js. If you scroll down, we have a model over here. Now, since I'm not really using the database, I don't really have this kind of a model, but you can create the model. Then we have a user.js file. So this is basically you are creating a user, and after you are creating a user, you're assigning it a token. So if you go to user.js, you can see that someone is posting user. I get the username, and then using the username, I create a token. And I also say that this token is going to expire at this particular time. Then I finally send in the request with the token and the username and return the router. All right. We can see that all in action. So if you want to see that a token is being created for the user, if I go to /user and post some username, then I can show it to you. Let's go ahead and first run node app.js. I can go over here into Postman, and this is my request, which is post. I am saying username Azam Sharp, and in the headers I'm saying content type application JSON. All right, let's go ahead and send it, and this is the token that it generates. All right, and this is my username. So it's returning me back the token and the username, which we are actually returning in user.js right over here. And this is a token that you need to keep on your client side in a global variable, in a local storage, or somewhere because you need to be sending this particular token with each and every request that you will make. Very, very important, right? Because if you're not sending this exact same token for every request that you will make, then there's no way for the server to tell that if you are authenticated user, if you might be some hacker and might be trying to access system and providing a wrong token. So it has to be the exact same token. So keep this token in some sort of a global variable or somewhere that you can attach it when you are sending the request. I think you have already seen this kind of approach when you were working with SoundCloud. You have to send in a token every single time, and that is allowing SoundCloud to know that it is you are authenticated user. Let's go back over here. After you have said this, we can move to the authentication. Now you do want to authenticate every single time that the user is it a valid user, and a bad idea would be to go to your different actions. So let's say post, and if I have a get over here, so router dot get, if I'm saying give me the details of the user, so user slash details, and I can say over here request response. So I can check over here if the user is authenticated, right? Authenticated. But I can have some other routes over here, maybe 5 or 6 routes, and I have to check again and again in every single route. That's not a good idea. That is the same exact thing that the middleware can solve, because middleware is actually fired before your actual action is fired. All right. So let's look at our authentication middleware. So this middleware is going to get fired every single time for every single request that you will configure it. So basically it is saying that give me the token, and then JWT, which is the JSON Web Token package, calls the verify function, pass in the token, pass in the secret key, and then it tells you if the token is valid or if it's not valid. All right. So after we created the authentication.js, we can skip down to the index.js, which in our case is app.js. So here's app.js. So you can see over here I'm using Express body parser, JWT. I don't think we are exactly using JWT over here, router config. And over here I'm saying that whenever I try to go to /API, then add this middleware authentication.js, meaning whenever I go to /API, it is going to check that if I'm authenticated or not. If I'm not authenticated, it's going to tell me that, whoop, you cannot access the API, you're not authenticated. And you face the same issue when you were going to the SoundCloud API, and if you were not authenticated, it will let you know that, sorry, you're not authenticated, you need to sign in, register, and then we will give you a token. So that's the same exact thing that you're building now. All right, so next we are doing we're saying that use, like for this particular request, if you go to the root, we are going to use the user.js, which in this case, in our case, is just the post user. All right. So API routes are all protected right now. Right, so we do have a get for the API, and whenever this one is going to get fired, before this getting fired, it is going to call the authentication middleware to make sure that the person who is trying to access the /API is authenticated or not. As we have done in line number 13, we are saying that all the URLs with /API are protected, and you must use you will use the middleware authentication or auth.js. So let's give it a try now. So if I go over here right now, and let me see if my server is running. So let me kill the server, start again. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the API. And there we go. So you can see that I cannot even access the API because I haven't really logged in. So it's saying unauthorized redirecting to root. And I can try multiple times and it's going to do the same thing. All right. So the first thing I need to do is to authenticate. Now in our case, the authentication is done by posting something, which in this case is username, to the URL, which is right over here. When you post it to /user, it's going to go into the user and it's going to create the token on line number 12 to 17. This is where the token gets created. So I have to go to this route. I have to post something to this route in order for the token to get created. So let's go ahead and post something. We're posting Azam Sharp as username. Let's go ahead and send it. And you will see that it returns me this token. Now this is not the same token that it generated last time. It's a completely different token. All right. I can copy this token because I will need to send this token on all the subsequent requests, all the requests that I'm going to make for /API, because that is protected. That's a protected URL. I cannot go there unless I have a token. Now in order to send the token, you have to send it in the headers. And I think that's the same thing that you did in SoundCloud also. But what will be the key of the header? So let's look over here in authentication.js, x access token, right on line number 7. So let's do that, x access token. And now I can paste a key. Now in your application, since I'm pasting it over here, but in your application you might be saving this key after you have authenticated by going and posting to the user URL. You get the key back, you can save the key in a global variable and then send it as a header for x-axis token key, the name. Let's go ahead and send it. And now you can see that you can actually go and access the API. All right. Even if you mess up the key, if you want to, like say, if I say AAA in the key, and if I try to send it, then it says that invalid token. So you can't really mess with the key. All right. It has to be the same exact key. And now I can access API. I can go and access anything inside the API because now I am authenticated. I am sending the token, and that is how the token authentication works. And try this example. It doesn't have any database or anything linked, but you can do the same thing with the database. You can save the user in the database, get the ID of the user, attach it over here if you want to, and do all the same stuff. But to keep it simple, I don't have any SQLite, I don't have any database attached to it. All right. So that's pretty much it for authenticating token base for Express.